Did you just buy crypto because your coworker wouldn't stop talking about it? Or maybe you threw money at that hot stock everyone on social media was hyping up last week? If you felt that pit in your stomach when you realized you might be missing out on the next big financial opportunity, you're experiencing something that's literally rewiring how people make money decisions in 2026. And it's costing regular folks millions of dollars every single day. I'm about to show you exactly why your brain is hardwired to make terrible financial choices when everyone around you seems to be getting rich quick. And more importantly, how to flip that script so you can actually build wealth while others are chasing shiny objects. Because here's what nobody's telling you about financial FOMO. It's not just about missing opportunities. It's about how our most basic survival instincts are being weaponized against our bank accounts. Let me paint you a picture. Sarah works in marketing, makes decent money, has been diligently saving for years. Then her sister calls her up, absolutely buzzing with excitement about some new investment app that supposedly turned her friend's $1,000 into $15,000 in just 3 months. Sarah's heart starts racing. Her logical brain knows this sounds too good to be true, but there's this voice screaming in her head, what if this is real? What if everyone else figures this out and I'm left behind? Sound familiar? That's because Sarah's brain just got hijacked by the same psychological triggers that kept our ancestors alive when they were competing for scarce resources. Except now, instead of fighting over the last mammoth, we're fighting over financial opportunities that may not even exist. Here's the twisted part about financial FOMO that most people don't realize. It's not actually about the fear of missing out on money. It's about the fear of being excluded from a tribe. Think about it. When everyone at work is talking about their Bitcoin gains, or your Instagram feed is flooded with people flashing their trading app screenshots, your brain doesn't process this as financial information. It processes it as social survival data. Your subconscious mind starts calculating, if I don't participate in this, will I be left out of important conversations? Will people think I'm not smart enough to understand these opportunities? Will I become irrelevant in my social circle? This is why you can be a perfectly rational person who reads financial advice, understands compound interest and knows the importance of diversification, but still find yourself opening a trading app at 2 in the morning because you saw a TikTok about someone making bank on penny stocks. The really insidious thing about modern financial FOMO is how sophisticated it's become. It's not just random people bragging anymore. There are entire ecosystems designed to trigger these psychological responses. Social media algorithms specifically show you content that creates urgency and envy. Financial influencers use countdown timers, limited time offers, and social proof tactics that are literally copied from casino playbooks. They'll show you carefully curated success stories while conveniently forgetting to mention the thousands of people who lost money on the exact same strategies. They create artificial scarcity by claiming opportunities are disappearing even when they're not. And they exploit our natural tendency to overestimate the likelihood of positive outcomes when we see other people succeeding. But here's where it gets really dangerous. The more financially stressed you are, the more susceptible you become to these triggers. When you're worried about bills, student loans, or retirement, your brain becomes hypervigilant for anything that promises quick relief. You start viewing high-risk investments not as gambles, but as necessary escape routes. This is why financial FOMO disproportionately affects people who can least afford to lose money. I've seen people raid their emergency funds, cash out retirement accounts, and even take on debt to chase these opportunities. And the cruel irony is that the desperation to improve their financial situation often makes it dramatically worse. So how do you protect yourself from this psychological manipulation? The first step is understanding that financial FOMO operates on a completely different timeline than actual wealth building. FOMO wants you to act right now, this second, before you miss out. Real wealth building requires patience, consistency, and boring repetitive actions over long periods. When you feel that familiar urgency creeping up, that voice telling you that everyone else is getting ahead while you're standing still, try this mental exercise. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. Which version of future you would be happier? The one who made steady, consistent progress toward financial goals? Or the one who took a bunch of high-risk bets that may or may not have paid off? Here's something most financial advice gets wrong, though. They tell you to just ignore FOMO, to be rational, to stick to your plan. But that's like telling someone to ignore hunger when they're starving. FOMO exists for a reason, and completely suppressing it isn't realistic or healthy. Instead, you need to channel that energy productively. When you feel FOMO about an investment opportunity, use it as a trigger to do something positive for your financial future. Maybe that means increasing your retirement contribution by 1%. Maybe it means researching a legitimate diversified investment option you've been putting off. Maybe it means finally setting up that high-yield savings account you've been meaning to open. The key is redirecting that motivational energy toward actions that align with your long-term goals instead of letting it push you toward impulsive decisions. Another powerful strategy is what I call FOMO inoculation. This means deliberately exposing yourself to stories about investment failures and financial bubbles throughout history. When you understand how many times throughout history people have fallen for get-rich-quick schemes, you start to recognize the patterns. The dot-com bubble convinced people that internet stocks would only go up. The housing bubble made everyone believe real estate was a guaranteed moneymaker. The recent meme stock craze had people convinced they could outsmart hedge funds with social media coordination. Each time, how the people caught up in the excitement felt like they were part of something revolutionary, the goal isn't to prevent yourself from ever taking financial risks or exploring new opportunities. It's to ensure that when you do make those decisions, they're coming from a place of careful consideration rather than emotional reaction. Here's something else that might surprise you. Some of the most financially successful people I know actually do experience FOMO regularly. And the difference is they've learned to recognize it as valuable information rather than a call to immediate action. When they feel FOMO about an investment trend, they see it as a signal to research the underlying fundamentals, to understand what's driving the excitement, and to evaluate whether there might be a sensible way to participate that aligns with their risk tolerance and financial goals. They might decide that yes, there's something worth paying attention to, but they'll approach it methodically. They'll allocate a small percentage of their portfolio to exploration while keeping the majority in proven strategies, or they might decide that the opportunity is legitimate but not right for their situation, and they'll simply file the information away for future reference. The most important realization is that you don't have to participate in every financial opportunity to build wealth. In fact, trying to participate in everything is usually counterproductive. The people who build lasting wealth typically do so by identifying a few strategies that work for their situation and sticking with them consistently over time, while staying informed about other opportunities without feeling compelled to chase them all. This brings us to perhaps the most powerful antidote to financial FOMO: having a clear, written financial plan that you genuinely believe in. When you know exactly what you're trying to achieve, how you're going to get there, and why those goals matter to you, it becomes much easier to evaluate new opportunities against your existing strategy rather than feeling like you need to abandon everything to chase the latest trend. Your financial plan doesn't have to be complicated, but it should be specific. Instead of vague goals like build wealth or retire early, you need concrete targets with timelines and clear action steps. When you have this clarity, financial FOMO transforms from a threat into a useful filter. Any opportunity that doesn't clearly advance your specific goals gets automatically deprioritized. The reality is that financial FOMO will probably never completely go away, and that's actually okay. It shows that you care about your financial future and want to make progress. The goal isn't to eliminate these feelings, but to develop a healthier relationship with them, and to think of FOMO as a smoke detector for your finances. It's alerting you to pay attention, but it's not necessarily telling you there's actually a fire that requires immediate action. Remember, the next big thing will always exist. There will always be new investment opportunities, new financial strategies, new ways that other people claim to be making money. Your job isn't to catch them all. Your job is to build a sustainable approach to wealth building that you can stick with regardless of what financial trend is dominating the news cycle this month. The people who win the long-term financial game aren't the ones who never miss opportunities. They're the ones who consistently make good decisions and avoid catastrophic mistakes. Sometimes that means missing out on spectacular gains, but it also means avoiding spectacular losses that can set you back years or decades. The next time you feel that familiar tug of financial FOMO, take a deep breath and remember, your future self will thank you more for steady progress than for emotional financial decisions that seemed urgent in the moment but don't actually move you closer to your real goals.